Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 3 of this news bulletin for today, July 11th, 2012. And again, just like on Monday, I'm having like some serious internet issues, and no one's said quit complaining or yet, but I'm putting this out there just so you can what I'm going through here, because when the GGN videos stop for whatever reason, the biggest one is going to be because of this, because of these internet issues. They're literally choking me off for the past 12 months, and every month it gets worse. Every day, every time I put out videos, it becomes harder and harder, to the point where I'm surprised that I'm even able to put out videos every time. Just like Monday and the month before that, I keep saying I don't even know how I got those videos out. But I think their strategy is to try to fuck me so that I can't get my videos out before midnight. So there's something that happens after midnight the next day that they allow me to be able to upload. So currently, right now, I haven't been able to even watch YouTube videos. That's how slow my speed is. And lastly, I actually received an email back from my ISP, and they said that they're going to have to send out a technician, right? And I'm going to have to pay for this, so they can tell me that basically nothing's wrong. But they indicated to me that they wanted some speed tests to basically take speed tests of my bandwidth 3 times. And so I was kind of surprised today, this morning, when I woke up and I checked the speeds. Everything was running real fast, like fast as it's been in like a month. I'm like, okay, holy shit, what's going on here? I know this isn't going to last. And it's funny because they put up the speed just so that I could do my little speed test and then send it back to my ISP and say, oh, everything's fine. Well, it's not fine, because just within 30 seconds before recording today, earlier today around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, my internet dropped twice, and now it's a snail's pace. So I just thought I'd share that experience with you, because it is just mind-wrenching, and it pisses me the fuck off. Secretive U.S. spy office caught secretly spying in the United States. So we just covered about the garbage men, waste management, being spies now to catch the terrorists and anarchists. And it says here, also the terrorism liaison officers, utility workers, and stuff like that, being spies as well and trained as terrorism liaison officers. There was an agency that says Americans spontaneously confessed. So people never heard of the National Reconnaissance Office, the NRO, or the creepy slogan, vigilance, from above, of the pyramid, I guess that is. That's no accident. Founded in 1960 to run spy satellites, the office mostly stays out of public limelight, and its existence wasn't even publicly known until 1973. They're making headlines from McClatchy newspapers that they've been illegally collecting large amounts of information about U.S. citizens through unethical polygraph practices. Sorry there, it's glitchy. So it says here, the documents the paper collected noted that they were pressing people for information about unrelated personal issues, often carrying out multiple sessions asking personal questions. They reportedly offered rewards to polygraphers for extracting bizarre confessions about Americans' personal sexual proclivities, basically their activities, or thoughts on recreational drug use. So it says here they refused to comment, the NRO did, directly on the allegation, saying that they legally collect information when people spontaneously confess. So Americans' confidence in television news drops. So their confidence in the mainstream propaganda has dropped to a new low. Liberals and moderates' views are now similar to conservatives. Basically, they're saying liberals and moderates lost so much confidence in television that their views are now more akin to conservatives, which they don't trust the mainstream media. And it's interesting how people say the liberal media. You'll hear Rush Limbaugh heads and stuff like that say that, and it's like, well, no, it's an international corporatist system of enslaving the world. That's the type system that you live in, steered by the same bloodlines. It says here, Northrop Grumman, U.S. Navy established Fire Scout Training Center in Florida. They're talking about unmanned helicopter operators, and flight simulators, drones. So, and then this is what we're talking about. This is actually a drone that was spotted. Oh yeah, actually it was in Florida. Remember that that Miami festival, the car festival, and there was one of these police helicopter drones that were spotted there. So Man, Florida's a horrible state to be living in these days. It's one of those little pockets, right? It says here 14 incredibly creepy surveillance technologies that Big Brother will be using to spy on you. The key word is will, which means they probably already are. Pre-crime surveillance cameras, and it says here in the latest project, the labs to install its devices on transport systems in San Francisco, which includes buses, trains, and subways. And the cameras will be able to track up to 150 people at a time in real time and will gradually build up a memory of suspicious behavior to work out what is suspicious. And it's talking about pre-crime too. So you can be arrested for pre-crime, and they're already putting those commercials out for the police stations to look at and be like, yeah, we need to pull over more people and ticket them for not having a turn signal, so that we can get this pre-crime stuff. So then we can go over to the 7-Eleven and stop a robbery from happening. It's like, but wait, dude, you just stole some money from the dude that was just trying to drive somewhere, and you just stole his money, and you're going to try to stop another robbery? How are you going to do that? Capturing fingerprints from 20 feet away. That kind of technology actually already is here, according to Pop Science. Gaining access to your gym or office building could soon be as simple as waving your hand in front of a door. And it says here, ID Air is developing a system that can scan and identify a fingerprint from nearly 20 feet away. Coupled with biometrics, it could soon deny access or grant it from a distance without requiring users to stop and scan for fingerprints, ID cards. Mobile backscanner vans, basically like the U.S. airport porno body scanners, but they're in vans. And actually now they're in smartphones too. So hijacking your mind, says here the Pentagon's DARPA wants to understand the science behind what makes people violent and then find ways to hijack their minds by implanting false but believable stories in their brains with hopes of evoking peaceful thoughts. Advocates of this technology believe that placing new plausible narratives directly into the minds of radicals, insurgents, and terrorists could transform enemies into kinder, gentler slaves craving friendship with their slave masters. But again, guys, this is just my opinion, but I believe that this has already been happening since at least, the 50s or the 60s, where people have been bombarded with microwave technology, especially while they're sleeping, and instilling thoughts that they think that are their own. I.e., matching their brain waves and then imprinting a thought. Brain scanning binoculars are going to harness soldiers' unconscious minds to locate threats. They're talking about the terrorists and the anarchists. They want to have soldiers' minds meld with their machines. Sounds like cyborgs or something. But it's talking about brain scanning set of binoculars that can pick up on a soldier's unconscious recognition of a potential threat and bring it to his conscious attention. And they go down there and says, this isn't DARPA's or the military establishment's first foray into mind control on the battlefield. Or what? On an unsuspecting civilian populace? Russian parliament approves controversial internet blacklist bill on Wednesday to give the state powers to block blacklisted websites, a move criticized by internet freedom activists. Then the Germans outraged after privacy law was passed as football kicked off. So that's right, they passed new registration law in 57 seconds as they rushed off to watch football. But it says here, now every time a German moves to a new home and gives the local authorities his address, he is legally obliged to, as long as he does not forbid them from doing so, the authorities are allowed to sell his personal data to third parties. Moving on here, executive order grants authority to seize private communication facilities. This is, of course, in the United States. The White House and Obama regime passed the new executive order. He's all about the executive orders, Obama is, expanding federal powers, seeking to ensure the continuity of government communications during national emergency or for false flag terrorist attack. The executive order grants new powers to the Department of Homeland Security, including the ability to collect certain public communication information. It allows the government to disconnect communications and traffic in times of national security, talking about the kill switch for the internet. That's Obama's kill switch. And then Al-Qaeda terror suspect caught at Olympic Park. So not real big surprise here, right? They said the big bad terrorists are going to come get you at the Olympics. They even said, the anarchists are going to come and get you too. So the alleged intelligence operative was caught crossing through the Olympic Park 5 times, breaking a ban imposed by the home security. And a question most Brits need to be asking themselves at this point, London, is it a fortress or an Olympic host? Britain is girding itself for the biggest peacetime security operation in history that runs counter to the spirit of Olympic Games. We've heard that before. But it says here the military shadow lurking in the background of hosting such a cultural and sports events such as the Olympics are no ordinary games. They'll have a security force of nearly 50,000 military and civilian personnel backed up by huge intelligence operations. And we have this. Judge clears way for Olympic rooftop missiles. So there's a lot of people that were actually protesting against this, but they have it anyways on rooftops, missiles for the Olympics. Armed forces on Olympic standby. UK's armed forces are on standby to provide an additional 3,500 troops to help with security at the 2012 London Olympics. So this is interesting because it says here it's amid fears that G4S, the private security contractor, would not be able to provide enough trained staff and time. They said they had some issues in relation to workforce supply. Remember that that little reporter or whatever that was talking about G4S, he was in there, and he said that there was all kinds of holes in security, that they weren't actually training them. They were preparing them more for a disaster, some kind of emergency, than actually training them for screening. Then end to eugenics. Unknown disease kills 60 children in Cambodia, and the question is, could vaccines have been the cause? So prior to the deaths, many of these children had reported been suffering high fever, severe chest disease symptoms, basically signs of neurological damage or symptoms which are strangely associated with vaccine injury. And then something that most of us already understand, H1N1 vaccine linked to potentially fatal nervous system condition. So the swine flu vaccine used during the pandemic may increase the risk of nervous system disorder that caused temporary paralysis almost threefold, a study has found. But it was actually found like 2 years ago somewhere in Scandinavia, I think Norway. It says here, Florida Keys residents resist release of dengue fever immune mosquitoes. So a UK company wants to unleash genetically modified insects in the Keys, but residents fear not enough is known about the insects. But like I said, I know this is going to sound negative, but you're not going to do a damn thing. They're going to experiment on you. They can legally do that, experiment on the civilian population. Low-flying plane is on a mosquito mission, so it says here, got lots of mosquitoes, so the Miami-Dade officials are carrying out the cavalry, well, actually the Air Force, to kill the biting pests in their breeding grounds. However, the attack may come as a surprise because of how low the spray planes are flying. Look at that. The funny thing is, look at the chemtrails in the background. There's actually someone spraying chemicals up there, and then they're spraying chemicals down here, and even in neighborhoods near my mom's house, they actually go around in trucks still and spray, and the little cul-de-sacs and that. And God bless these poor people. People in the spraying areas could see planes just as low as 150 feet off the ground. Oh God, dude, and if you have allergies to chemical pesticides or sensitivity, you might want to stay inside. Not me though, I'm not allergic. I'll be out there with my mouth open, sucking it in, right? Cancer will always evolve to resist treatment, that's right, so the eugenics will always resist treatment. Especially if you try to say, well, there's actually an alternative to the pharmaceutical. You can use laetrile and B17 and nutrition to treat and cure cancer. Well, you're going to get a bullet through the freaking head. So yeah, that's actually what's resisting the treatment. Transforming cancer into a manageable illness. So yeah, it's a health style, right? It's a new health lifestyle with multi-drug approach. So that's the solution, a multi-drug approach. Violent police raid of medical marijuana collective caught on camera. So go check it out. You just type in that headline right there, and you'll find it. Yeah, and the pigs are in there, and they're just bashing this guy up, as some poor black dude, and shutting the place down, right? God forbid if someone actually tries to heal cancer with marijuana. You got to use a multi-drug approach. Satellite study says Asian glaciers are growing ice rather than shrinking. And scientists have spotted a fifth moon around Pluto. And remember in 2008 or 2006, when Pluto was basically declared no longer a planet? It just makes you wonder, is it because there's something going on out there that they don't want you to be looking at? Massive dark object lurking on the edge of solar system hurling comets at Earth? Well, no, of course, the scientists and experts say the Nemesis Death Star theory that hurls comets towards Earth has been debunked. So the bunkers have debunked it. But what about this bizarre hourglass-shaped Kuiper Belt object? It's basically like a gigantic interstellar spaceship. NASA says the new Orion space capsule could take man to Mars by 2014. Britain's Atlantis has been found at the bottom of the North Sea. They called it the real heartland, and had a population of tens of thousands 8,500 years ago. Thank you.